Welcome to the Hawk Sports Network. We have a matchup here in the West Division of the OCAA between the Humber Hawks and Georgian College. The visiting team wearing blue, Humber in white here today. And we're almost ready to get this show underway. Thank you for being with us here at the Humber College Valley Field as I, Matt Hamill, and my broadcast partner, Will Shukri, will be with you for the duration of today's broadcast. Will, we should have a good rugby game in front of us, although it is one of those chilly autumn days, kind of hoping the rain holds off here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little gloomy down here at Humber Valley Field today, but both of these teams seem pretty warm and ready to go.
My broadcast partner, Will, making his commentary debut. Excited to have you here on HSN, my man, and should be a good matchup. We're looking at pretty evenly matched teams here, Will. 2-1 Humber taking on the 2-1 Georgian squad.
Yeah, Georgian's sole loss this season came to Durham last week. They're looking to try and keep their momentum against Humber today, but obviously Humber trying to come out on top.
You know, a loss to Durham is really something that's tough to avoid. Durham being the defending OCAA champions after last season. And Georgian, interesting storyline here. Well, they've won the silver in the province, taking home that silver medal. Georgian, 4 straight years. So kind of that always the bridesmaid, never the bride type of situation. We'll see if Georgian, a motivated team, would right now sitting in that tie for first at 2-1. Now, Georgian, in terms of their offense, Will, they've scored 87 points this year, and that's pretty well up there. That's tied for second in the OCAA in terms of offensive output. Georgian has allowed 71 points against. And for the Humber Hawks, they've scored 73, so not quite as many points scored compared to their adversary, but Humber's defense has been a lot more stout, only allowing 28 points on the season. So we'll see if it's that classic offensive versus defensive matchup here today. Can Humber's defense perhaps be the key to victory, hold Georgian off the board?
Yeah, Humber's defense has been stingy all year. I mean, they're only behind St. Lawrence for lowest points against with 28 through 3 games. So they're going to be looking to keep that trend going.
You know, Humber's scoring has very much been off of Seth Kirkham. 4 tries this year. He's got twice as many points as his next best teammate in terms of offensive production. Now for Georgian Grizzlies, as they break their huddle here, Will, we're going to be keeping an eye certainly on Cade Rennie, the center, who's been able to get it done offensively, particularly off the foot. He's got 4 converts, 3 penalty kicks for a total of 22 points when you add in his tries. So a couple players to look out for here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew Turco as well. He's a scrum half. He's got 5 tries this season.
So teams huddling up. Our photographer Diego's getting the bird's eye view with the camera into this huddle. Of course, if you want to see the photos from the game, you can always head to the Humber Hawks account on Flickr. Flikr, that's where all the photos will be posted. If you know somebody in the game today, that man right there at the bottom of your screen, Diego's getting the best photos in the league, so check that out. And here we go. It'll be the Humber Hawks kicking off to get this one underway. Thank you for being with us here on this very autumn-like Saturday here at Humber College. A big matchup here as we get into the sort of latter half of the season. Next Saturday is the final regular season game. So the home stretch, this game underway as the ball kicked off and fielded by Georgian. And right off the bat, nice physical play, kind of setting the tone here. So we'll see if Georgian can get some good movement here on their first possession.
Humber's been really strong in the scrums all season long. They're going to look to continue that today.
And the kick onto the Humber side, and it's out of touch. So Georgian fields that nicely. The Georgian Grizzlies will be looking to improve to 3-1. One of these teams is going to be sitting at 500 after today, Will. We're going to have one team coming out of here 2-2, the other 3-1, and that 3-1 record will certainly go a long way to help create some separation in that OCAA West Division with that three-way tie at the top with those 2-1 records for Humber, Conestoga, and Georgian.
I think the biggest storyline in that three-way tie is the fact that Humber has allowed about 30 less points than both of those teams.
Yeah, when you kind of look at those stats, seems like the offense is, fairly on par. We have some pretty similar stats with the offensive output in those teams at the top of the OCAA West, but it's the defense where Humber has really shined. We'll see if that's the story here today. Bit of a break here as Humber's offense is advancing the ball. Kick back, that's going to be stopped. Covered by the Grizzlies. Nice look-off play there, try to create some space. And how about this charge? Strong run there to advance the ball for Georgian. Who will strike first? We're 3 minutes into this half. Nice fake play there. Boy, Will, you like that little element of deception there with the pass. And look at the Grizzlies now pressuring Humber, getting into their side. Couple of Hawks converging for that tackle. Ball's out. The Grizzlies attacking on that left side now. Well, you gotta like the ball advancement here for the visiting team. Maybe looking to strike first here as they get closer to that try line.
Yeah, Georgian's got nothing to complain about so far. They're making great passes, they're breaking tackles, they're getting close to the try line here.
Good possession here for the Grizzlies. Solid tackle. Humber not allowing anything easy on that particular rush. Stolen away by the Hawks now. Be big if Humber could gain some ground and help create a little bit of breathing room. Strong play there. Charge right up the middle, stuffed by Georgian. Hawks looking to bounce it out to that far side. Little dipsy doodle there, creating some space. Now it's a foot race. Big hit there. Grizzlies able to get the tackle and slow down that drive. Will, that looked like it had some promise, but some heads-up defense.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what we've seen from Humber all season long. They'll let the opposing team get close, and then they'll hold the line and bring it right back with a huge run.
So the Hawks turning the tables here. Humber happy with the inch-by-inch plays here, and now going to bounce it out on that left side. Bit of room to work with. That pass a little bit behind, but Humber somehow hanging on to the rock here.
Couple of great plays under pressure there.
Looks like it's the Grizzlies now who've come away with it. I love the physicality early on here. You know, Will, you play a game on one of these cold days, and sometimes you can kind of have the hands tucked up in the sleeves. You're a little bit miserable out in this cold, but right away, both teams getting very physical, setting the tone here.
I don't think either of these teams are feeling the cold right now. They're certainly warm.
Good rush here. Big hit. Laying the boom is the ball carrier. And that's going to get a lot of excitement from the Grizzlies sideline. So good back and forth play. Humber advancing the ball into the Grizzlies' end, but now it's Georgian getting very close to that midfield line. Good turnout there you see in the background. We've fair share of spectators on hand for this Saturday afternoon matchup. So how the format works here in the OCAA men's rugby is we have two divisions, both with 4 teams. The other 2 teams in this West Division beyond Humber and Georgian are Conestoga Condors and the Sheridan Bruins. So you play each team in your division once, and then you have 2 out-of-conference games. And again, this all concludes, the regular season does, next Saturday, October 21st. Humber will also be hosting the Women's Softball Championship that day over at Connorville Park. You can catch that right here on the Hawks Sports Network. Quarterfinals for men's rugby in the OCAA begins Saturday, October 28th. That carries over into the Sunday, October 29th. Semifinals scheduled for November 4th and 5th, and the championship dates for OCAA men's rugby, November 11th and 12th. Remembrance Day OCAA action. How about this charge down the sideline? Humber with some good ground being gained here. Will threatening to score.
Big run there from Humber.
Just battling hard here. Officials right on top of the action. How about that? Big fella charging through. Humber looking for those first points of the game. Can the Hawks get the try? Line out play. And as you can see, Will, Humber knocking on the doorstep right now.
It's just an inch-by-inch game here. Humber just forcing their way closer and closer to the try line.
Now you mentioned that the Grizzlies coming into this game off of a victory. That was against the Algonquin Wolves. And you mentioned it earlier, a pretty high-scoring affair. Georgian scoring 56 points to Algonquin's 14.
And that was a game where they really looked good defensively.
And for Humber, it was a bit of a nail-biter in that loss to the St. Lawrence squad. It was 13-12 in favor of St. Lawrence. Here we go, the scrum, and these are big inches here.
Humber really pushing it forward and they'll recover.
Just gonna cut back inside, find that try line. Working their way closer each time here. Georgian gonna have to hunker down defensively. Hawks using a bit of that foot speed, and there it is. Opening score of the game for the Humber Hawks. Put 5 on the board. And, Will, that time it was just the determination from the Hawks getting ever so closer. And then the finishing touches on the play, using the dipsy doodle, the power, the speed, and here we go. Let's get a replay, Will. Tell us what you see.
I mean, this is just a great run. Humber had been working at this offensive push for a long time now, and they're finally just going to split the middle, and they'll have a good chance to convert this as the kick will be centered between the goalposts.
Here we go. The 2-point convert. Got a real good shot of that leg stretch going on there. And now we head to our convert kick, and it's up through the uprights and make it a 7-0 lead for the Humber Hawks. So although it is the Grizzlies who have scored more points this season, not by a huge margin, but it's the Hawks striking first.
And I really think the defense was the difference maker there. I mean, both of these teams had great rushes, and the only difference was Humber was able to keep them at the try line and turn it over.
And Georgian kicks it away. Hawks fielded on that near side. Use the brute strength to make a couple of feet advanced here. Good job converging on the play that time by the Grizzlies. Nice move there, creating some space. Look out now, tripped up. Right at that midfield line. Looks like Humber might have been busting one outside with lots of room to work with. Humber has a few of those weapons. I mean, you see it there, the changing of direction, the elusive running. That can go a long way for creating some space.
Here comes Seth Kirkham there. He had that monster game against Seneca a couple of weeks ago, and he's down now.
Yeah, see Kirkham, he's a little worse for wear, still down on the pitch. Back up to his feet now. And back down to the turf. So the trainer out for the Humber Hawks. For Humber, not what they want to see. This is one of your most productive offensive players in Kirkham.
Kick was a little wild there as the ball came flying straight to our HSN tent there.
Well, that's our tent right there on camera, and yes, that was nearly the missile right through the tarp.
Kirkham seems to be all right now as he's walked off that injury.
Grizzlies being pushed back by Humber right now. You know, well, other than that opening drive for Georgian where they got pretty deep into Humber territory, it's been the Hawks really protecting their side of the field up until now.
Absolutely. I don't think Georgian has made it past the center line since Humber scored.
How about this? And then going to just advance past the midfield line. Nice physical play here as the Grizzlies have an opportunity to answer back. And the Hawks letting one squeak through here, so Grizzlies continue to gain ground on this promising drive. And whistle blown. So we'll have the kick coming up as a Humber Hawks player is being tended to by the training staff. out of play. There you see on the left side of the screen a moment ago, the injured Humber Hawk. Throws coming in. Well, what's left on the schedule for these two teams? Well, Humber will be on the road taking on the Conestoga Condors next Saturday in their final regular season game. And also on Saturday, it's the Grizzlies taking on the Bruins, a battle of the Bears. 1 p.m. next Sunday. So that will round out the regular season schedule for both of these teams. Try to improve that position heading into the postseason. So the top 3 teams in each division will make their way to the postseason. Just that bottom, that 4th place team in each division will have to wave their season goodbye at the end of the regular season schedule. The 1st place teams will get a bye to the semifinal round. And the way things are working here in the OCAA, the home team will be the team with the highest seed, even for the championship games. No designated host. Good scrum here as that things will collapse, and it's the Hawks coming away with it. Nice charge up that far right side. That ball bobbled, but brought back in, and that tackle up high in the collar. Humber still making a good charge. And finally, the Grizzlies will slow the play down. But Will, you gotta like that big break from Humber, and here we go, right back onto the Georgian side of the half.
Yeah, Humber's really shown some great field vision today with these passes under duress. Especially in the face of that high tackle, like you mentioned, both hands up high on the collar, grabbing the shirt.
I've made that tackle a few times in my football days. You know, the horse collar, it is certainly a penalty, and for good reason. It's quite an easy way to get some leverage. Those tackles feel cool, but they are no bueno.
No bueno indeed.
Hawks looking to continue this push, maybe go back-to-back scores here. Up high, taken away by the team in blue.
Yeah, that's a great recovery from Georgian, just really stretching out to get that ball back.
Hard hit from the Hawks. Getting that low leverage, trying to rip that ball away, and still somehow on his feet. You know, I guess that's what happens when you start to focus on getting the ball out as opposed to getting the man down, allowing the Grizzlies to advance a few extra yards. Play right in front of us here on the sideline, approaching midfield, taken away by Humber. It's Humber's Seth Kirkham in the mix. Loose ball. That play blown dead. So approaching the 20-minute mark so far, it's the Hawks with that early strike. And the Hawks, who have been up until now, will kind of be in the team in the driver's seat for the most part after a strong start by Georgian. Humber has really kind of fought back and certainly got the momentum on their side at this point in time.
Humber's absolutely playing the better physical game right now, and once again, the passes have just been fantastic. A couple of bobbled balls, but each time the receiver just keeps it.
Yeah, for sure. There has been a couple of, like you mentioned, some of those big plays for Humber. Some of the passes have looked a little sketchy at times, but it's just been the recovery. Even though there's that bobble, that loose ball, Humber finding ways to keep the play going forward. Right now it's the Grizzlies moving forward. Brought down. Ball at midfield. Some good ball movement from the Grizzlies. Looking to shake loose. How about this play? That's like the brotherly shove right there we've been hearing so much in the NFL. Georgian getting some help. They get the free ball now. It's one of the Grizzlies coming up a little bit limp.
Not sure if he was ready for that brotherly shove there.
You're never really ready for it.
You're just thankful afterwards.
Also called the tush push.
Another wild kick just sailed many feet outright.
Really getting into the zone, much closer to the try area. Can Georgian find a way to get on the board here and answer to that early try from Humber? How about this? Stiff arm move, big tackle. Not quite in the scoring zone. No, they're going to call that a try. Looks like from our camera angle here, it was a bit short, but the official making the call. And this will be a pretty tight angle, Will, on the convert kick. But for now, put 5 on the board for the Grizzlies with a nice drive to respond, get on the board here. Pretty hard charge in there. Humber came in with the pretty aggressive tackle. Will, let's get a second camera angle on it here. And there you have it, just reaching out. Touch faith.
And you can see just barely getting it over that line there. That is a good call by the ref.
Yeah, stretching out for the try.
Yeah, this is a tough angle here.
Yeah, no doubt. Grizzlies are going to give it their best crack. It's up. Looks good. We'll see what the call is on the field. No good. So it'll remain a 2-point game.
But a valiant effort there from the Georgian kicker, as that was a tough angle. And from here, it looked like it could have been good.
Well, anytime you have a tough angle like that, just want to get a good amount of leg on it, give yourself a chance, but the Grizzlies will not tie the game up. And we'll get right back underway with the Hawks kicking off. Oh, well, pretty back and forth play here. I mean, at this point, it's a toss-up right now, but we'll see if Georgian kind of keeps the momentum going. We've certainly seen the momentum swings, and another big play there for Georgian to break a tackle.
Well, we talked earlier about how these teams are fairly evenly matched offensively, and I think we've seen proof of that today.
Humber's last OCAA medal, we mentioned for Georgian, the Grizzlies capturing silver 4 straight years, and a bronze before that, and then a gold before that. At any rate, Georgian pretty used to coming away at the end of the season with an OCAA medal. The Humber Hawks in the last 6 or 7 years have captured just that 1 bronze in the 2019-2020 season. And that's kicked away. Brought down. Humber with some space to work with. Speed on the outside. Change of direction. And a good hard run for Humber and some nice physical play here. Now, referee's going to blow the play dead and award the ball to Georgian. So that'll put an end to that offensive drive for Humber. So that ball sails way out of bounds. We're going to be about a yard or two on the Humber side of half. Get the ball back in touch here. You see there on the far side of our screen wheel, we do have a Humber Hawks player taking a knee, getting looked at by the training staff. Gotta like these Hawks uniforms, Will, I must say. The white with that kind of patterned stripe on the outer edge of the uniform.
Absolutely, they were designed by some Indigenous students and an Indigenous group for this season, and they look fantastic out there.
Humber gets a piece of it and will come down with that ball on the throw-in. So right at that midfield line, even look here, which team will get a good rush as we head into the later stages of this first half. A little bit of a breeze picking up here on this cool autumn day here at Humber College. Grizzlies sideline getting amped up. They're happy they came away with the ball, but a little bit of fumbleitis there will allow Humber to push the Grizzlies back a little bit. Looking for some room. Good tackling by Humber on that outside edge. Outside, good passing, great hard tackle by the Hawks. Whistle blown. So, Will, I take it I gather that you have a little bit of a rugby legacy in the family. You said your pops played some varsity out in Cyprus?
Yeah, he did, down for the University of Cyprus.
Yeah, we share that in common then. I mean, my pops was a big rugby player out in Port Alberni, Vancouver Island. So I told him today it looked like it would be a rainy rugby game here. He said, boy, we're used to those on Vancouver Island. So like you mentioned, though, I don't think these players are fazed by the cold. Once you're in the heat of battle, you kind of just dial right in. It's really just at halftime when you're standing around when all of a sudden you go, yeah, you know what, it is kind of cold out here today. It's windy. We have that east wind coming off of Lake Ontario. A Colorado low has moved in just south of the Great Lakes, giving us the wet conditions at times. So far the rain is held off today, but one thing we are getting is those cooler temperatures and those breezy conditions. Big scrum, you can hear that Georgian sideline getting fired up. Humber comes away with it, though, despite the enthusiasm from the Georgian team.
Always nice to silence the opposing sidelines there with a strong scrum.
So, you know, after that Georgian try and missed conversion, bit of a stalemate here offensively. Neither team really getting much in the way of big breakout offensive drives. Just a little back and forth action here as we head into the last 10 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, the game's been hanging around this center line for the last 10 minutes or so. No team really gaining ground on either side there.
All it takes is that one big burst to the outside, though, to really kind of put the pressure on the opposing team. We'll see which squad gets that big break here. As for right now, just kind of nickel-and diming their way around the field here. Good.
And you can feel both of these teams just waiting for a break in the defense to make something happen here.
That scrum gets a little topsy-turvy. Run it back here. Humber's ready to put a few substitutions in the game on the next break in the action. Good push from Humber here. Hawks stealing the ball away. Can they get some meaningful offensive pressure on this drive? Hawks, a lot of space to work with on that right side of the field. Looking for that outside edge, bit of movement there. Good tackle by the Grizzlies. On the near side of the field, off camera there, you see there at the bottom of your screen an injured Humber Hawk, but right now it's the Hawks pushing forward. Huge hit by the Grizzlies. Humber so close to that try line. Humber looking for their second score of the game. Putting pressure on Georgian right now. Can this be it? As Kirkham hands it off. Looking for some room right there, and that will be good for another try for the Humber Hawks. Make it a 12-5 ball game for now, and we'll see. Will, looks like a decent opportunity here on the two-point conversion. Not exactly as perfect a straight line as the first convert for Humber, but here's a second look at this strong play to get in there.
Yeah, and I mean, he gets in pretty far on the left side of the goalpost there, but a huge score for Humber to extend their lead to 7 for now. We'll wait to see how this convert goes.
Got a beautiful angle on this shot right here, so you'll know before we do what this is going to be. Splitting the uprights. Humber, much of this season, they've been leaning on Rafael Tomeo, the fullback, for their converts. They've also got, they got 3 from Tomeo in terms of those successful converts. Kadane Thompson has 1 in terms of converts. So let's see if the Hawks can make it a 14-5 ball game, and that's going to hook left. So there is a little bit of a wind that was pushing the ball in that direction. And approaching the halftime mark, Humber remains up by a score of 7. Great kick to get things going. Humber thought maybe they had a break, but the official says it's out of bounds, and the Georgian sideline Will was hooting and hollering, hoping that the official would catch that play, and they certainly did. So that'll park the ball pretty well into Humber's side of the field here.
Humber did have a great chance on that rush there if they'd managed to stay within the field of play.
Looked like Georgian might have had hands on it, but the Hawks, the team coming away with the rock here. Quick drive right up that middle. Tackle from behind. That kick is up. Good job by the Hawks just to try to gain some ground. They get a friendly bounce, maybe that home turf bounce. But Georgian still on the Humber side of the pitch. Grizzlies with a kick of their own. Chance here for the Hawks. Boy, lots of room to work with here, Will. Very strong play to break that tackle, but almost losing the ball. The Hawks will have to forfeit possession with the knock on. How about the Grizzlies here? Lots of space. The tackle just not there. 1-2 men miss, passing it off, and the Grizzlies with the far side rush. There's the try. That will make this a 12-10 ball game. Will, what a huge play in the dying minutes of this first half.
And there was so much room available on that left side.
That's a backbreaker of a play for Humber, who are able to get their very hard-fought try just a few minutes ago. And then Georgian just slicing through the team. Missed tackle. Handed off. That player finally brought down, but not before he dishes it off to the teammate. And that dog had a good angle on that play right on that far side. So, Will, we have another very sharp angle, but this would be big for the Grizzlies to tie things up and avoid heading into the halftime break down. This is a pretty heroic kick if he can make it. It looks good. And that will be a successful convert. 12-12 is our score, with just a few seconds left in the first half.
And that's a huge kick to tie the game for Georgian from a seriously tight angle on the left side of the field there.
That is a huge kick, and let's take another look. The kick's so nice, we played it twice. Lots of leg on it. Heard the Ticats are looking for a kicker. I'm just kidding. I think they probably are doing all right in the field goal kicking department, but again, a momentous play here at the end of the first half, as we are now all tied up. And just a real back and forth battle, Will. I mean, that's what we've been working with here today. Momentum swings and waiting on that final whistle here. one last play here maybe to wrap things up here. We're going to have to reset here. Hawks are feeding this in, so we'll maybe a quick opportunity to advance the ball, maybe get a kickoff.
Yeah, Humber's going to get one more crack at this with literally no time left in the half. This could be a big play for the Hawks here. An important scrum, to say the least.
Certainly would help the Hawks maybe tack on a bit more momentum onto their side after Georgian really stealing the thunder late in this first half. Here's the chance, Will. It's Humber driving up the middle. On that outside edge, good burst of speed. Humber working it back in towards the middle now.
Inching closer to this try line as Humber tries to get something going.
Threatening, can the tackle? This is a big play right here. Hand it off. Now are we gonna count that for the try? Yes, we are. Goodness gracious, right on that left side. Humber stealing back the lead late in this first half.
And that's got to be so demoralizing for Georgian there.
You said it, partner. It's the Hawks stumbling and rumbling late in the first half, but Will, there's just lots of space to work with, and a missed tackle proved fatal here. As Humber now back up by 5, and here we have another heroic kick here needed for the Hawks to be up by 7. Maybe take some inspiration from the Georgian kicker who just drilled one from an angle like this a few minutes ago.
Anything you can do, we can do better, right?
Well, you bet. I mean, the extra time coming in huge for Humber to avoid heading into half with the tie. The Hawks, who have had the lead for the Lions' share of this first half. Remember, the Humber Hawks scoring early and converting on that 2-point kick, so it was a 7-0 game. Georgian ended up answering quite a while later to make it a 7-5 game. Humber then added another try, which was then answered by Georgian. There's the kick up, and that will be well wide. And that should send us into halftime. So after 40 minutes of regulation, the Humber Hawks, 3 tries, 1 convert. 17-12 is our score. Will, we'll head into break real soon, but real quick, your thoughts on a pretty hard-fought first half?
I mean, we talked earlier about the storylines, how these two offenses are great. And Humber's defense is the better of the two, and I think we've seen that so far, with Humber really only letting one big run through, with Georgian scoring late in the half.
So before we head to break here on the Hawk Sports Network, we'll take a second look at some of these big plays, and this was that opening try of the game for Humber, right dead center down the alley. Strong play to open up the game.
And once again, it's the passes under pressure that are making the difference.
There was that response, but it was a very sharp angle, so Humber ultimately hung on to a 2-point lead after the missed convert kick. Another look here at that opening score of the game, and it was that beautiful reach for the Grizzlies beyond that try line, and here's that second score of the game for Humber, marching their way into that Grizzlies side of the field. There it was, and that was good to make it a 12-5 ball game. Another look there at that second try of the game for Humber. And that kick, we're going to blame the wind on that one, Will, but just at any rate, any way you slice it. And then here was late in that first half, the second try of the game for Georgian. Look at the foot speed, Will, breaking tackles, and that was just uncharacteristic of that Humber defense, which we normally see so stout, but kick of the game so far right there to tie things up. Another look. And then Humber, extra time, finding a way to march it in. They would not convert. We just saw moments ago. But a 5-point lead for the Humber Hawks heading into halftime. We'll be right back here on the Hawk Sports Network after this quick break for the second half action of this hard-fought OCAA West Division Rugby men's matchup.
And coming back for the second half right now, Humber up 17-12 after that try in extra time in the first half. They're going to boot it down the field there. Still fairly windy down here at Humber Valley Field as Humber looks to get back in the winning column after their loss against St. Lawrence last Sunday. Georgian heading down the field now, and they're going to be brought down by the Hawks. A good defensive stop there from the Hawks just past the center line.
Yeah, big way to open up the second half here. I mean, for Georgian, you got to think important to get a good response after late in the first. Humber getting that go-ahead score. Like to see the Grizzlies maybe start motivated, passionate, as we have a Humber Hawk without a shoe. Important for that fella to have both cleats on. That's one of Humber's leaders, especially on the offensive end here. Definitely a lot of offense going through Seth Kirkham.
We had that excellent game a couple of weeks ago as Humber beat Seneca 44-3 here at home. He scored 4 tries in that one.
So teams buckling down here. Second half action. These are very important games in terms of who can jump out to first place in the OCAA West Division and get that quarterfinal bye. Because right now it's 3 teams at 2-1. Pivotal game here for these teams who sit tied atop the West Division.
Now Georgian back in control, trying to make a push. Humber's going to stifle that opportunity there. But they're going to keep pushing a couple inches forward. And the play's whistled down.
You know, Will, in that first half, we definitely saw a good percentage of the time it was Humber advancing the play, putting the pressure on, keeping that ball into the Grizzlies' side of the pitch. But we'll see if that dynamic changes here in the second half. Of course, we were just so close to heading into halftime with a 12-12 tie, but the Hawks with that sneaky late try, it's giving them the pivotal 5-point lead right now. But not a whole lot of time in that halftime to make adjustments, Will. I mean, I'm sure these coaches are scheming, figuring out ways to kind of stop the other team from having the success they had in that first half. But can Georgian kind of turn the tables, put the pressure on the Hawks? Right now, the visiting team down by 5.
Humber's looking to build off of the serious momentum gained in that last-minute try. And Georgian trying to gain some momentum back after they thought they had tied the game up to end the half, but Humber refused to roll over. Sloppy pass there, fumbled by Georgian, but they're going to recover it.
Nice little dipsy doodle there, but the Hawks defense all over it with the strong tackle. Stolen away now.
And the Humber player dragged down by his jersey there.
Will, later today we have a Logan Paul boxing pay-per-view. Can we count on you to fork over the $59.99 to see the YouTube star in a boxing match?
I believe my 99-cent ad blocker can take care of that problem
That's
for
illicit
me.
activity. Look at this rush on the outside, Will.
A big rush from Georgian here as they enter the Humber zone. But a couple of strong tackles from Humber are going to keep them where they are.
Oh, but Grizzlies, though, doing a good job matriculating the ball down the field and off the spin move.
Wow.
Right up the middle. Now we have a tie game with a very makeable convert. That could put the Grizzlies up 19-17 if they can essentially tap this one in. See how it played out here, Will. It was just nobody home. A nice big gap right up the middle. The quickest path right to that try zone.
That was Marcus Shuffler there with a great move inside.
Yeah, big play for the prop.
And he'll score his first try of the season.
And a big one at that, right? I mean, we talked about the Grizzlies needing to respond, really having sort of their uphill battle coming into this second half. Down by the try, and here it is, up and good, and that will give the Grizzlies the lead.
And with the try being scored right between the uprights there, they had an easy convert for the 2 points to give them the lead, 19-17 right now.
You know, Will, I think that really puts a bit of pressure on the Hawks now, who were sitting pretty coming into this first half, but you have the Grizzlies setting the tone, and that was a pretty authoritative rush there, and a bit of poor tackling and less than ideal defensive coverage from the Hawks, allowing Georgian to just kind of cut right through the middle for that score.
You know, it almost looks like the Hawks were sitting back on their haunches a little bit, comfortable with that 5-point lead. And Georgian just put in the work to get the momentum back. And it's a different story for Humber now, down 2, looking to come back in the second half.
A misplay, though, from Georgian, giving Humber the ball deep into the Grizzlies' territory.
And here's Seth Kirkham. He's going to pass it off.
Yes! Let's go!
And they get it down.
Beautiful work there. Will, the Hawks answering very quickly, and you know, give credit to Humber putting some good pressure on to rip that ball away off the kickoff. And that did not really make it much distance they had to cover to get in there for the score.
Humber making that one look easy as they tear apart the Grizzlies defense, and Tamiko Smith is going to run in his first try of the season.
So a little pause in the action here while we wait for that convert. Water up. It's always important to hydrate, Will. You a water drinker, or are you do you slack in that department? Everybody knows hydration is so important these days.
See, I'm a big water drinker over here.
Respect.
My water bottle feels a little bit inadequate next to yours here, but it tries its
I do
best
have
anyway.
like the 1 gallon, I did get a lot of comments on my enormous water bottle.
That's what keeps that voice beautiful.
Do whatever I can to help out, but we're gonna have a unsuccessful convert kick. So for now, it's just Humber will hang on to a 3-point lead, and those have really been a bit difficult for the Hawks. I mean, after that first try for Humber, which was right down the alley, converted on the 2-pointer, and after that, Hawks have not been able to split one between the uprights on those converts.
You know, I think that's the biggest difference we see in North American rugby versus European rugby is the converts are extremely difficult. Few and far between.
Georgian Grizzlies player looks like he got a hard hit into the face area. He's holding that nose. And good to see the Grizzlies player walking off on his own power. And we're getting the training staff to assist him off the field, so we'll have a substitution coming in for the Grizzlies.
That was Ryan Irvine, who is coming off the field with what appears to be a nose injury. And he almost got drilled by the ball.
The kick right into the Georgian sideline. Yeah, almost makes a beeline for the injured player. How's that for insult to injury?
I think they're going to be talking about that in the locker room after the game here.
Can the Grizzlies respond here, Will? We do have not a whole lot of ground to cover as you see Humber's try zone looming in the not-so-distant background there.
Yeah, this is a big scrum for Georgian here, deep in the Humber zone. Only down by 3. And Humber's going to come away with the ball. Here's Seth Kirkham trying to force his way up the field. The pass back, and Rohan Roy will break a couple of tackles.
Quick restart here from Georgian.
And Georgian will quickly make back the ground that they just lost.
And here we go, the brotherly shove back in action. As a couple of Grizzlies helping to kind of push their teammate forward, gain a couple extra yards, and these are big yards anytime you're getting this close to that try line.
The Humber defensive line is really going to have to lock in here. To try and hold this strong Georgian team here. Once again, Georgian's offense second only to Durham's in the OCAA, but Conestoga's offense is tied with them for second. And another big scrum here deep in the Humber zone. As Georgian looks to take back this lead.
You know, well, speaking of Conestoga, the only other OCAA rugby game is another West Division matchup that started at 12 o'clock today between the Condors and the Bruins. And like we mentioned, next Saturday it'll be the Hawks finishing up their season against the Condors. That should be a very interesting matchup there against a very strong Conestoga team. And then Georgian will be taking on the Sheridan team, which we mentioned before is the Battle of the Bears.
And Sheridan actually beat Conestoga 24-20 earlier today to try and keep their postseason hopes alive. With a loss today, the Bruins would have been eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, great point, Will. That now puts Sheridan at 2-2 on the season. Conestoga also at 2-2.
Which is going to put the pressure on Humber.
Yeah, whoever comes away from this game 3-1, and that is the definition of sitting pretty heading into the final weekend of regular season action next weekend.
So there's a possibility for Humber to clinch their postseason berth with a win today. But they're going to have to work for it as Georgian is not rolling over.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt you're spot on there. The Grizzlies pushing hard right now. Looking more into that middle of the field right now.
A couple of nice tackles from Humber there. And once again, they won't let him gain any ground.
Yeah, there was a fake pass attempt, but the Hawks were all over it. Grizzlies trying to bust it to the outside now, gaining a little bit of ground.
And the Grizzlies have been in control for a little while now, as the ball has stayed inside of the Humber zone. But once again, Humber's defense holding strong, not letting them get to the try line.
Heavy collision there. Two players colliding. These are some hard-fought plays here. Oh, loose ball. Will, the Hawks almost had a chance to come away with it. And Humber will celebrate that ruling, which gives them the ball.
Yeah, a huge recovery for Humber in their defensive zone there. With about 20 minutes left in this match. And Humber still up 22-19.
So heading into the fourth quarter, as it were. A pretty narrow lead for Humber. Granted, if there was the three-point kick, that would from Georgian, that would serve to tie the game. The Hawks would still be in a situation where they avoid being down in the score. But Will, I think it's a hugely important thing for the Hawks to stop this Georgian drive. I mean, we've seen the ball on the Humber side of field for the past little while, and certainly give them momentum to the team in blue and white.
Humber is going to recover that ball, looking to get into the offensive zone. Oh, a nice play there. And here comes Che Batchus.
Good tackle that time by the Grizzlies. Looked like Humber had a bit of space to work with, but nice tackling, and it's right back in possession of the Grizzlies.
Georgian will continue to advance this ball, but some strong Humber tackles.
Well, we came into this game, we knew just how strong Humber's defense was. Coming into this game after 3 matches, only allowing 28 points.
And that is second fewest in the OCAA, with a huge tackle there.
Ferocious tackle there. That's just the beautiful physicality of rugby.
And a little bit of rough stuff going on there.
Ultimately, we do have just on the left of our screen here an injured Grizzly. Just kind of hiding behind that tent right now on the field, but Will, here we go. I mean, the Grizzlies continue with the pressure, and you just wonder at what point this Humber team is going to break. They've been showing they're bending right now, but when is this Georgian team going to successfully punch one through the line?
Georgian's been desperately trying to find a hole in this Humber defense for the last 20 minutes or so, as they've been in charge of this game for just about the entire second half. As
taken away, but the play is blown dead here, and it seems like the Hawks are not gonna like the ruling.
No, it looks like the ball is going to go back to Georgian here, even though it looked like Humber recovered it defensively. You can hear the displeasure on the Humber sidelines there, as players don't like the call. But it does look like Georgian is going to get possession deep in the Humber zone.
And we're also in that kind of zone where put up that kick for 3 and tie this game up. But, you know, the way things have been going, it's a tough call to make, because Humber has been showing they're not really keen on letting Georgian break through and get that try. It's been just a long road here of Grizzlies pressure, but nothing getting through yet. So you wonder what the coaching decision is. You'd like to think they're going to try to punch one in and get that lead off of a try.
Well, I think you said it perfectly. Humber bending but not breaking here, as they are staunchly refusing to let Georgian get this ball to the try line right now. Holding on to this 3-point lead desperately, deep in the second half. Just approaching the 65-minute mark now, as there's going to be a scrum in Humber's zone. And it's a big scrum for Humber, as they're looking to recover this ball defensively and turn the play the other way. And they're going to.
Here's Kirkham busting it loose. Hangs on to it.
And a quick tackle from Georgian there.
Hawks just going to try to gain some ground and clear it out. Mishandled, though.
Great kick there, recovered by Humber.
Big fella charging forward. Nice physical play for Humber, and now finally responding, looking to get the ball on the other side of half. The Grizzlies have just been living on Humber's side lately.
That was a really strong play there from number 4, Ty Wallace.
We have a Humber Hawk in some serious discomfort, not that far away from our broadcast booth, right at the midfield line. And it was a big, big collision. So there's a brief look at the injured player. We'll keep the camera off of the injured athlete, but a water break has been ordered by the official because it looks like a rather serious situation. We'll give you any updates we can get, but just when things were looking up for the Humber Hawks, Will, finally getting a good push, looking to get that ball on the Grizzlies side of the field. Now it's a huge collision right at midfield.
And the Hawks player has still yet to move from where he is on the ground there, surrounded by training staff and coaching staff, trying to evaluate what happened.
So the players getting a bit of a break here. The training staff evaluating the situation. Obviously a big moment in this game with very thin lead for the Hawks, but right now the only concern at hand is the injured Humber player. Just a couple of players on that play coming together for a big impact. Like we said, we'll give you any updates, but right now it's not a lot of movement. The injured Humber Hawk was in obvious pain and a lot of shouting going on.
He's just on Humber's side of the center line here, and he does appear to be in some serious discomfort.
He's laying down on his stomach, and right now the officials are, or the training staff rather, are providing that support, but not in any hurry to move the injured athlete, which you hate to see. So we'll keep an eye on the action here. We'll step aside for just a moment. We'll be right back as soon as we have any updates for you.
Thank you so much.
And we are back. An injured Humber Hawk has been taken off the field by ambulance, and a pretty scary 30 minutes or so after a ugly collision. We're not going to show the replay, but it was just a matter of the player's neck getting kind of cranked by the opposing player. Just one of those unfortunate collisions, a glancing blow. And the Humber Hawks here huddled up as both Humber and Georgian almost ready to get going. It's a very slim 3-point lead for the Humber Hawks as we get this game rebooted. My name is Matt Hamill alongside Will Shukri here on the Hawks Sports Network. Will, certainly a pretty scary little sequence there, and we took an extended break while we waited for the ambulance. Fortunately, the Humber Hospital just right down the street from Humber College North Campus, so we've now looks like that player will be heading to the hospital, and we wish him the best. We're going to try to gear back up for some rugby here. Obviously, emotionally and physically, just kind of a bit of a tall order here when you have such a long gap in play.
Yeah, I mean, we were out for about 30 minutes there.
At least.
And you got to imagine as the players, it is really tough to stay warm in these cold, windy conditions. And we would like to thank the wonderful staff from Etobicoke General coming here so quickly and taking care of the player there. And we wish him the best, obviously.
Yeah, Toronto Paramedic Service lifting the player off on the stretcher. And there's Georgian in the huddle looking to regroup. And a reminder, we'll put the score up in just a moment, but 22-19. So a 3-point lead in favor of the home team. And Will, we're going to have about 15 minutes left in regulation. We're at about that 65-minute mark. And this collision happened really right in front of us here.
Yeah, it did, just on Humber's side of the center line there. And yeah, with about 15 minutes left in this tilt, Georgian is going to look to continue their momentum as they were really in the driver's seat for most of this second half. Obviously, Humber did score that try on their, honestly, on their only rush this half. But they're going to look to clinch their playoff berth in the 2023 OCAA playoffs with a win here today. A scrum here will start things off again as we are ready to get going again after that lengthy delay.
Here we go, and like you mentioned, Will, we're right at that midfield line. Humber will come away with the opening possession following the long break in play. Can the Hawks maybe use this as a chance to reset? Because, Will, we really saw so much momentum on the side of the Wolves for the Lions' share of this second half.
And I mean, lots of credit to that Humber defense as they were under pressure for about 20 minutes straight. And they managed to escape it without allowing a try. But still, pretty demoralizing for the home team as they really haven't had much offensive action in this second half so far.
So a not so pretty autumn day, not really as bad as originally forecasted. We're expecting some pretty strong winds. Now, it is breezy, but not really the kind of nasty east winds we were expecting that we're seeing in different parts of southern Ontario. How about this on the outside? Will, kind of right back to where we started. The majority of this second half has just been the Wolves barreling into the Hawks side of the field, and here we are right back where we left off.
Yeah, Georgian picking up right where they've started here. as they're once again going to force this ball just a few feet away from Humber's try line, and they're going to try and push it in here, but a good defensive stop from Humber. Georgian still battling here, but Humber will come up with the recovery and take it the other way.
A huge play for Humber. Now they are going to need to clear it. The kick is blocked and quickly fielded by the Grizzlies. Strong rush there, breaking a few tackles to get a few extra yards.
Once again, though, Humber just staying strong on that defensive line.
Yeah.
Getting the bodies they need in there to stop the offensive Georgian Grizzly.
Still knocking on that door here. Georgian looking for that go-ahead try. And they are inching closer.
I mean, you don't want to think that it's just a matter of time, but the Grizzlies are fully in control of this game right now. Down 3 with just under 12 minutes left.
But we've seen a lot of this, and the Hawks finding ways to stop their opponent. Lots of yelling going on down there. Huge play coming up. Hawks guarding that try line. And this is kind of like that red zone offense for the Grizzlies. And can they punch one in?
They could certainly use Derrick Henry right now.
Well, they have some powerful runners. There's no doubt about that. This time trying to use the speed. The ball's loose, but recovered. Wow.
Georgian with really great offensive awareness here. Humber's almost forced 2 turnovers, and both times Georgian has been able to recover it at just the last second.
Humber with their backs against the wall right now. A very slim 3-point lead. But, this has been the dynamic throughout the second half. Georgian in the driver's seat. Humber standing tall on their try line and limiting the scores for the Grizzlies, but they really need to work hard on this scrum. Again, you're just talking, looks like inches away from scoring territory for the visiting team.
A huge defensive scrum here for Humber, as they look to finally be able to turn this the other way and maybe get some offense going. You'd have thought that after the lengthy break due to injury, this game would have maybe reset a little bit. But the Grizzlies really starting right where they left off.
Yeah, they're the team applying the pressure. And so far, the second half has just been Humber kind of hanging on. You got to wonder how long you can allow the other team to really dictate the pace of play the way Georgian has so far. Kirkham with the rock for Humber. A modest couple of yards. Nice move there, creating some space. Huge play for Humber.
And here come the Hawks approaching the center line now, forcing their way through a couple of tackles. Georgian will push them back just a yard or two, but a huge run for Humber. Unfortunately, it will result. No, Humber will keep possession, sorry.
So just about a centimeter from, or a couple of inches, let's say, from advancing onto the Grizzlies side of the field. But huge for Humber, back against the wall once again. they find a way to prevent Georgian from scoring, and that kick sails out of bounds, but just a huge play to flip the field. Humber looking like maybe they could even have snuck one through all the way for a score there, but at any rate, a very big play for the Hawks to maintain their 3-point lead.
And the trends we've seen happen have just continued as Humber lets Georgian in, but just stops him at the try line. Humber in the offensive zone now, trying to make an offensive push.
Gotta love the physicality on display here.
Yes, Joe! Come on, Seth.
A good run by Ty Wallace there will get the Hawks a couple extra yards, but a fumbled pass will draw a whistle.
Well, things looking good for Humber right now. They've really done a good job of turning the field over, and now it's Humber with a counter punch deep into the Grizzlies' territory. And what a game changer this would be. A try would put the Hawks up by 8, making it a 2-score game. And of course, a try and a converted kick would be a big help for Humber, looking to really create some separation. We talked about the standings in the OCAA West Division. We have a couple of 2-1 teams. Conestoga now 2-2, so it's Humber and Georgian, the last remaining teams above 500 in the East Division. One of these teams will leave here today 3-1, looking real good late in this regular season.
Humber still working deep in the offensive zone. Here's a good rush here, but he'll fumble the ball, and it's recovered by Georgian. That was Duncan Montague with a clutch save there for Georgian.
Well, there's a So handed back over to the Grizzlies. Do they have another big charge? I'll tell you what, Will, it's a lot of ground to cover as we're now heading into the last few minutes of regulation.
Yeah, just over 5 minutes left in this game here. And Georgian down 3 deep in their own defensive zone.
Loose ball taken away by the Hawks.
Huge play there from Humber. With just a few yards left before the try line.
Going to advance it here with that high kick. Ball still on the ground. Grizzlies come away with it. Hawks looking for some insurance. Kirkham does a good job to hang on to the ball. Looks like the Georgian player is going for the strip there, trying to punch that ball out.
Well, Georgian's running out of time pretty quickly here, as Humber now controlling the play when it matters.
Big collision there.
Yeah, no.
And he fumbled on that kick, so the Wolves, pardon me, the Grizzlies able to get the ball. Will, that was a crucial mistake, just kind of like a muffed punt return in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a huge play for the Grizzlies, as they're going to get possession just a couple of meters in their own zone here, just north of the center line. And this is going to be a huge scrum for Humber. Try and waste a little time while also keeping the Grizzlies in their own zone.
Official just having a word with the sideline here. Official who you mentioned maybe has a bit of a resemblance to Tom Cruise. Did you see the new Top Gun movie?
I did see the new Top Gun movie. I did.
Not
It
bad,
was
not
okay, for sure.
bad. 7 out of 10. Good, not great.
I think that's a fair assessment. I miss Goose personally.
Humber giving chase here.
Georgian fumbles a pass, but they're going to hold possession.
And that's going to be a foul. A frustrated Grizzlies player just boots the ball up in anger.
And yes, Humber is going to get possession back in the offensive zone.
This all working in the favor of the Humber Hawks, who are hoping to improve to a pivotal 3-1 with a victory here today. They hang on to a very insecure 3-point lead late in this game. But this would be huge if the Hawks can just keep the pressure on, grind the clock out, not allow Georgian any big rushes to flip the field.
Kirkham's going to grab the ball.
Yeah, no, you were both on top of it. That's a good job by the Grizzlies to make the tackle and limit Kirkham there.
Humber with a strong move up the field here. Getting close to that try line as Grizzlies players are going to swarm the Humber forward there.
Great camera angle by our Hawks Sports Network crew right on top of the action.
The Georgian sideline calling for a penalty here. It doesn't look like they're going to get it, but Georgian's going to regain possession anyway. And a strong rush there from the Grizzlies, and here they come. They've got space on that right side. And a great tackle there.
That's what the Hawks were really hoping to avoid, was that big play to flip the field. Here it is. The momentum continues for the team in blue.
And with just 20 seconds left, the Grizzlies are going to try and make something happen in the dying seconds of this game.
Now, in the first half, Will, we got lots of clock beyond the 40 minutes of regulation. We shall see if the Grizzlies get the same affect. Well, a kick here would tie this up with the 3-point score.
And as regulation expires, we are now in extra time.
Hawks have been so good here in the second half, despite all these offensive charges by Georgian, as a big customer charging through the line for the visiting team. Wow, such a high-intensity finish to this one. Georgian knocking on the door. Here we go. Georgian looking to punch it in, going for that game-winning try, or what certainly looks like it would be a game-winning score. Good swarming defense by Humber. Will, they've been so strong with their backs against the wall here in this second half. Humber just needs to do it one more time.
And And Georgian's going to squeeze it in with a Humber player down injured. Georgian's going to run it in right over him.
And how about that? Huge play from Georgian. We'll run it back one more time, Will. It was just something we've seen all second half long, but the tackle was high. It just allowed a larger Grizzlies player to stumble and rumble.
You know, and we talked about how long can you play with your back to the wall, and I think we might have unfortunately found the answer late in this game, as Georgian is going to get a chance to convert. Fairly centered here. Of course, Georgian had that great kick earlier from a tight angle.
Of course, Hawks would be hoping for a shank here. They do not get it. That is good. And that is game. The Georgian Grizzlies storm the field, and they are happy, deservedly so. A huge road win to make them a very ideal position in the OCAA West Division. 3-1 for the Grizzlies, hoping to get that first round bye, and for the Humber Hawks falling to 2-2, which they now sit tied with a number of other teams at that 2-2 record. So final score 26-22. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast. And we appreciate you joining us for this great, hard-fought OCAA men's rugby matchup. For my broadcast partner, Will Shukri, and myself, Matt Hamill, and the whole team here at the Hawks Sports Network, thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time.